Calling this meeting to order. I'd like to entertain a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-4 and subsection 5 for the purpose of a potential litigation. May I please have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Does someone second?
I'll second.
Thanks. We'll convene into executive session now. Calling this meeting to order. I'd like to consider a vote to close our executive session, and does anyone have a motion to seal our minutes?
I'll make a motion to seal.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thanks. All right, and next.
Pledge of Allegiance.
We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks. There were no votes taken during executive session, so we will proceed to the next item.
The next item is presentation by Green Energy Development.
How about now?
There you go. Perfect.
I do have a couple of slides. I'm not sure if they're going to be really relevant or if they're necessary, but I'm happy to. I can pull them up if we need to. My name is Hannah Marini. I am the Vice President of Policy and Business Development at Green Development. We are a Rhode Island clean energy company based in Cranston, and we develop wind, solar, and energy storage projects around the state, and we sell the credits generated from those projects to eligible recipients. And in Rhode Island, the eligible recipients are cities and towns, quasi-publics, nonprofits, housing authorities, but it's a limited group that power can actually be sold to. And back in 2018 or 19, the city, schools, and housing departments of East Providence went out to RFP. We were selected as the the chosen vendor at that point in time. The Office of Energy Resources was involved, and they had a consultant. And so it's essentially what we're offering is a savings program, and we presented to the school committee and housing and the city back in 2019 and before the pandemic. And what we ended up doing, because there was some confusion about the actual program and what it offers, we did a 1-year little trial period for the city so that they could understand what the savings program is. So essentially, what virtual net metering allows groups like yourselves and the city to purchase credits at a discount, energy credits. And so, for example, the net metering credit rate right now, and it's dictated by the utility, is around 25% or so. So the the city has signed a contract with us already, housing has signed a contract. If the school committee also signs the same contract, then you'll get a 32% discount rate on those credits. So it's direct savings to you. So you'll get the full value of the energy on your bill, and you'll keep 68% of that you'll keep 32% of that, and then you'll pay us we'll send you an invoice for the 68%. And we have clients, most cities and towns that are large purchasers of these net metering credits they're eligible to receive the credits, have entered into these types of savings programs already. There's no expense for you at all. It's just a way for you to save money by using renewable energy that's located remotely. So your credits will come from a project that is under construction right now in Tiverton, Rhode Island. Just to give you guys an example, this project has been in the works for almost 3 years. So you also have the benefit of speed. You're going to be getting the savings most likely by the end of this calendar year, rather than starting from scratch. So the reason this is an attractive savings program, besides not having to outlay any resources, is because you don't have to use your own space or resources to develop a project. We're seeing the average time for these projects right now to be 2 or 3 years in many cases. So it saves you a lot of time, and you're able to get the savings on your bills very easily. I know I just covered a lot of information very quickly, but essentially your rate, because the housing and city have already signed onto this program, your rate is going to start at 32% discount rate, and it could go up to 35%. It could go up to 35% once there's another program we're working on with the city as well. So it's going to be at 32%. And just to give you an example, I have your estimated savings at approximately $180,000 in the very first year. And that is using we've analyzed all of your electric bills over the past 3 years, and we've come up with we're factoring we're going to use about 80% of what you use on an annual basis, and that's about 2.8 million kilowatt hours. So with an average net metering credit rate of 20 cents, you're automatically going to be saving 6 cents on every kilowatt hour that's sent to your electric accounts. So your savings in year one will be approximately $180,000, and we're estimating your 25-year savings from this program to be over $5 million at a 32% discount rate. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any, but I just wanted to go over high-level sections of the program. Talk to you about the benefits, and talk to you about just really, this is a great opportunity for eligible entities, public entities, to get the benefits of savings from renewable energy without having to spend a lot of time or money on it yourselves.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Just a question, how long has your company been doing this?
We've been doing this since 2012, which renewable energy is kind of like dog years. That's actually a very long time. We have 155 megawatts of projects in the state of Rhode Island, including 22 wind turbines. And that ranges everything from, we do 1 acre solar projects, and we have 100 acre solar projects, and everything in between.
Any other questions or comments?
How long was the contract that the city signed with you?
25 years.
Is that what you're asking from us as well? Because I
Yes.
don't have a copy of the contract. I don't know if anybody else does. I don't.
I don't have it either, Jess.
So it's a 25-year term, and the reason that they're 25-year terms is we match that to the life expectancy of the asset. So it's 25 years with 2 5-year extensions. It's for a total of 35 years. And so I should also explain too that the 32% discount rate is, it's a fixed savings percentage. So what that means is that right now, with prices really high, you're saving 32% off 27 cents or whatever the crazy number is today. But if it goes down, you're saving 32% off that as well. So it's not like a fixed rate and you get a smaller savings off of it. So it's 32% no matter what.
So is there a maximum cap on the amount of credits that can be earned?
So we highly recommend not going to 100% of what you use because, this building is a great example. You guys are pursuing a lot of efficiency projects. So by giving a nice little gap, the 20% gap or so, you're actually able to, there's enough of a buffer there, that way if your usage goes down, then you're not buying more credits than you need. I would say that this is actually, when we did analyze your bills, we realized that this building is not at full capacity for an entire calendar year yet. So I think we actually went higher than 80%. We might be like 85 or 90, but with the full knowledge that this building is going to use more power than we had a record for at that point in time. So there will be a limit in the contract to ensure that you're never buying more than you use, but you're still getting the full benefit of the savings.
What other school districts have signed this contract with you?
So we sell power to Portsmouth, Warwick, Situate, Central Falls.
They're school
lot.
districts, though,
Yes.
not the cities. Okay.
Those are all school districts. Yeah, I think West Warwick also. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, and those are just the ones that have signed with us. But it's most large users have at this point in time because it's such a great program. And there is legislation this year as well. This is the second or third year in a row to actually expand who can purchase these credits to commercial industrial customers. So because the eligible pool of buyers is likely to go up and it takes so long to build these projects, this is a really good opportunity for you guys to sign on to this program, because there may not be a whole lot of space left on the projects in the near future.
And when would we have to sign this contract?
So we fill the projects on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner you sign it, the sooner we can guarantee a spot on the Tiverton project. And the city and the housing have already signed. And so the way the savings works, that right now they're at a lower discount rate. So we bid the pricing based on a certain volume, and the volume was the usage of the city, housing, and the school committee, the school district. So we're actually raising everyone else's rate to 32% once you guys come on board.
So you came in front of us back in 2018 at Martin Middle School and did the presentation then?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
I was there. I don't remember
I-
exactly what building it was
yeah.
in.
I was there too. I think Tony was there too. You said you put us for a year. How many credits did we get in that 1 year that we were part of the
So
program?
the reason we were able to do that is because it was during the height of the pandemic, and we had a lot of the nonprofits. We have gyms, for example, with pools, and they had to close, so they were not able to purchase the amount of credits they were contracted for. So we had a short window that we were actually able to lower their usage and put the city on. So I think we gave them. It wasn't that much. It might have been like 1 million kilowatt hours total, and it was at a lower discount rate, but it was so they could see how the program kind of worked for a short-term period before entering into the longer-term contract. But The finance director at the city said the program worked really well. He didn't have any complaints about it. He understood it. So the city really kind of received this unique benefit of a trial period, which normally we can't provide.
Any other questions, comments?
Sandy, did you happen to see the contract, or did Ben look at it offhand?
So it's in your packet. I don't know if you have it too, but yes, we met with them. I met with the mayor and with the company, and then Craig and I met with them again. And I believe it's the same contract that the city reviewed.
Yes, so the city had special counsel negotiating their contract. He was a very thorough negotiator. I'll leave it at that. We made a lot of changes and a lot of concessions to the contract, and we literally used that as a template for the school's contract. So it's identical, except for obviously the name and the kilowatt hours. They use closer to 6 million.
So if we were to push this off to our next meeting to let our attorney look at it, Ben didn't look at it, Sandy, would you?
It's right behind the voucher packets.
Craig, do you know if Ben reviewed this contract?
Do not believe so.
Okay. I know the city's lawyer did, because we met with them.
So that Attorney Marcello then. Correct.
Yes, but they actually brought in Christian Capizzo from Partridge, Snow and Hahn, who is one of the few lawyers in the state that's really, he's brought in to deal with net metering contract agreements for a lot of public entities. He also represented the diocese and a few other big participants in this program. So not only did we start from a place of changes that we conceded to he beat us up pretty good is the point I'm trying to make. He was extremely thorough. And part of the reason that we were comfortable making some of those contract concessions is because we knew that there was going to be the strong potential of volume on this from the three entities. I mean, you certainly can. The only thing is I can't guarantee that there's going to be that spot on that project. We can't, the way these projects work is that you can't fully finance your construction. It is in construction, but we're about to start on a lot of the underground interconnection work, and you can't fully finance the project until it's fully subscribed. So we have to work really hard to make sure that the projects are full. So there is, you're in a much better position to receive savings quicker the sooner you sign on to the contract.
Savings into something may go wrong.
Um,
Contract that we did was for the turf field here. The residents of East Providence had to pay $1 million to get their property back to build this building. And that was like a top-notch, I think they flew in a lawyer from some other state to review that, and it went through. But when it came time to build this building, when you dig into the contract, we had to buy the balance of the year out, which was just either at $1 million or just over $1 million to start this project.
there is no scenario in this program.
But I feel comfortable, at least if our attorney that represents the school committee has a chance to look at it.
That is your call. I just want you to be fully aware that there's not any situation that the worst thing that can happen to you in this contract is that you're paying what you are anyway. It's just a savings program. So if the project if
We're not financially funding the project.
You're not
is what it
financially
is,
funding the
correct?
project, yes.
So,
So if the
there's-
project goes offline, something happens, you're not on the hook for any of it. We own it and we operate it, and you're just receiving the credits from it if and when they're produced.
We either stay paying at, the rate that we're paying at with the, the energy that we have, or we can sign up for savings.
Correct.
So, no, I definitely, appreciate, the presentation. Do you have any more questions?
I'm good, Jen.
Any more questions or comments? All right, so I'll make a comment then. I really like the sound of the program, especially the fact that it seems to be only a benefit in the end. Very familiar with the city's attorney and the work that they do. And also, of course, because our superintendent was present for those meetings, and I trust that the contract that's presented to us today has been thoroughly vetted. And from my experience with those attorneys, that I can say, yeah, thoroughly vetted to every punctuation and word.
Yeah.
So, no, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one quick question? I'm under the Exhibit B. These are all our accounts. I'm sorry, I did not, for whatever reason, missed a couple pages, and I just want to confirm that these are our accounts.
Yes.
So,
So we received a list of accounts, and then we requested the 3-year annual average data from the utility company, and we're able to perform an analysis on what the school district uses. Like I said, we went a little bit higher on the total percentage of what you use for the contract because of the size of this building. The lights outside hadn't been on for a full year yet. So that's, but we analyzed the school district's accounts separately.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Next item, please.
Next item is student liaisons, Gayatri Bukta, East Providence High School.
Good evening, everyone. Spring is finally here at East Providence High School, and winter sports have officially finished. Spring sports started up just this Monday. The unified basketball team has recently started its season, and that team has already played several matches. We're also gearing up for the Polar Plunge, which is happening this Saturday. That's going to raise funds for the Special Olympics of Rhode Island. Also, exciting news this year is that the Townie baseball, softball, and track teams are able to play on our brand new fields. So we've seen that the soccer fields in front are being converted into softball and baseball fields, which is exciting. The talent of EPHS students is on full display this spring. We recently hosted the collaboration concert with the middle school and high school bands and choruses. They were able to play together here a couple weeks ago, I think, and that went successfully. Student art is currently on display at Weaver Library for their Youth Art Month exhibition. That's open through the end of March if anyone wants to check it out. We're also gearing up for a spring musical that is in the Heights. And it's not just an amazing accomplishment for the cast and crew, but it's also a more collaborative effort across the school because the construction team and the art department have helped out with set design and set building. You can come support the Townies next week, next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. here in this auditorium if you want to see In the Heights. I highly recommend. A couple of other fun things that are happening at EP. The band just got back from their field trip to Orlando, Florida. They went to Disney World. The class of 24 is currently hosting the Townie Sweepstakes, where students can enter to win some gift cards, and it's raising funds for future activities for the class of 24. We're also raising funds at our lunches and through donations for victims of the earthquakes in Turkey, which is really important. The National Honor Society is planning a field trip to visit art museums in New York City, so we're hoping to get that in motion by the end of the school year. Lastly, we've had some academic success for our students. All grades are currently involved in the SAT Math Problem of the Week Challenge because the SATs and PSATs are just a few weeks away, and so we're having practice problems that the whole school can try, and then they can have the potential to win some prizes for that. Jordan Brogan and Haley Mantiga are two computer science students who recently won the National Center for Women in IT Award for Aspirations in Computing, so congratulations to them. And finally, we just had some of our hardworking seniors inducted into the National Technical Honor Society. That's all I have for the high school. I'll leave the floor to the middle school liaisons. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the school committee, Dr. Foran, Dr. Bowler, and Mrs. Corsi. My name is Joshua Shanty. I'm an 8th grader at Martin Middle School and the president of the MMS chapter of the National Junior Honor Society. So thank you for having me back this evening as the liaison from MMS to share with you some of the current highlights from Martin Middle School. So starting off, our amazing unified basketball team began their season and have 2 ties in the books against Barrington and Gaudette. All athletes are having a fun time collaborating on the court with their peers and are looking forward to their next game against Portsmouth. Sticking with sports, our spring sports seasons start this coming Monday with baseball, softball, and track and field. All student athletes are gearing up for a great season. The Martin Middle School community was honored to rock our socks on Tuesday, March 21st, in honor of Down Syndrome Awareness Day. All sock donations will be given to our friend Carl Sweeney with Hope and Faith. Moving onwards, on March 9th, the MMS band and chorus 8th graders joined our future classmates from Riverside Middle School and East Providence High School for our collaborative band and chorus concert. It was a privilege to share the stage with my current and future peers for an evening filled with townie pride. This weekend, the members of Martin Middle School band and chorus will participate in Rimia Junior All-State performances. We'll be performing at the Vets Auditorium in Providence this Sunday. And Martin Middle School students will continue to participate in the many activities provided through the Boys and Girls Club 21st Century Grant. The activities include gaming club, drama troupe, with their upcoming performance, Alice in the Wonderland, Garden to Table, Dungeons and Dragons, Safe Space, Volleyball, Anime Club, Torch Club, Chess Club, and STEM to Stern. With that, these are our current updates, and there are many more that are soon to come. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions. Well, thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you next month. And I'd like to welcome Aurora Hofstetter from Riverside Middle School.
Good evening, Dr. Ferrand, Dr. Bowler, Ms. Corsi, and members of the school committee. Would you care to know what acts of kindness, fundraisers, musical highlights, academic achievements, and other student-led events are taking place at Riverside Middle School? My name is Aurora Hofstetter. I am the Vice President of the National Junior Honor Society, and I am looking forward to sharing with you this evening. RMS celebrated Kindness Week from February 17th to the 22nd. It was a time where students were encouraged to put kindness first and pay it forward to someone else. During that period, our guidance counselors, Mrs. Albanese, Mrs. Lombardo, and Mrs. Magnanelli, along with Mr. Patch, provided checklist activities for us to complete during lunch, which students also took time to complete out of school. On a similar note, our Pennies for Patients fundraiser began on March 17th. In the coming weeks, students can provide loose change to raise funds for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Our Unified Champion School Plunge will take place on March 25th. Our goal is to help raise money and awareness for the Special Olympics as well as our Unified Sports Program at RMS. Following that, our Math Counts team competed in the Rhode Island State competition at CCRI. Our team placed 6 out of a total of 16 others, which is our best showing in recent history. On behalf of Riverside Middle School, we would like to thank Mrs. Durezzo for her efforts in preparing our team each year. Furthermore, we would like to congratulate our 8th grade students from both Riverside and Martin who performed in the collaborative band and chorus concert on March 9th. We look forward to their other performances in the future as well. On a different note, we started discussing an outdoor classroom project idea with our school administration in the fall to encourage students to spend more time outside in a comfortable learning environment. We have done some initial planning, and we would like to create a club for other students to continue this project, as it will most likely not get completed this school year. As a representative of RMS, I wanted to bring the outdoor classroom to your attention. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you for your time.
Next item is the consent agenda.
Thank you. Before I'm going to ask for a motion, there has been a little bit of a change from our previous agendas. As you can tell, we've included a lot of the items under here to make our meetings a little bit more time efficient. But of course, I should say, the members of the school committee have the option also to motion to take out one of these items under the consent agenda for a separate vote, if that's what a school committee member would like to do as well. So that is an option. I just want to remind people from our meetings with our attorney that is an option. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the items on here?
Jen, we're going to vote on these all at once?
Yes. If there's an item or items, then you can make a motion to have one, whatever item that you have in mind for a separate vote. So that would have to be a motion on its own before we do a motion for the whole thing.
Okay, then I'm going to do the last one, Jen. The building committee, the open and executive session. If we can vote on them separate, thank you.
Do you want to turn on your mic then and make a motion, and that way the rest of the school committee has the opportunity?
I'd like to make a motion to separate the executive session and open session of the building committee meeting for February 13th.
I'll second.
All right. So we'll make a motion that's been approved then to be voted on separately. Is there any other items that you want to vote on separately? Or does anyone have any other items that they either want to vote on separately, or whether it's to make a comment on before we make a vote for the whole consent agenda? No.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. We first need to then make a vote for just the February 13th executive and open session building committee meetings, and then we'll do the consent agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the February 13th, 2023 executive and open session building committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I can make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. And do I have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda with the exception of the February 13th minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I will second, but I just want to verify something. The calendar for 2023, 2024, because it's under consent, but this is a public meeting, I still want people to understand it still has both April and February vacations. That has been an issue in the past, that's not happening. But I just want to confirm that, so the 30th of August, then there's 2 days before everyone else comes back? So right, so the 30th, students report, just like we've done before, the kids starting in the elementary school. And then kids starting in the 6th grade and the 9th grade, which I love, they get that opportunity. But then it doesn't, everyone else doesn't come back to the 1st?
No, they come back on the 31st.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's just not, we can make sure that that's clear.
because it's not, because right now it says.
It says September 1st.
Yeah,
No,
so-
it's the 31st.
I just wanted to double check, because I'm not going to make that motion if that's not right.
No, that is correct.
So can we, for number 6 on the agenda, the motion will be to, the 31st of August will be the first day of school,
Yep.
not September 1st, which is what the calendar states.
All right.
I mean, I was all cool with 2 days, but I don't think
No,
anybody else would be.
that's not correct.
My daughter would be like, woo-woo! But no.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the proposed revision of the August 31st date for item 6 for the school calendar. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty. Next item, please.
Next item is public comments.
Thank you. First, I have Miss Chrissy Rossi.
Hi, I just had a couple of questions. If you guys could help me out with the answers, that would be great. Pardon my cold. Am I correct that we have a punch list for this high school?
I just want to clarify that for public comment, you can make comments or questions, but we're not going to be able to respond. At the end, we will, of course, direct, you to whoever the appropriate person is, which will most likely be Superintendent Ferrand. So I'll let you resume, but I just want to let you know we're not going to be able to respond.
So you're unable to confirm anything or talk to me in any way?
Or for public comment, this is your moment to really, let us know, if you have any comments, concerns, or questions, but we won't be able to respond unless it's something that these, superintendent can do at, the specific time, or she'll be able to contact you after tonight's meeting to have a conversation, if that's the case.
Okay, so here are my questions, and I guess I will follow up with Dr. Ferrand. Do we have a punch list for this high school?
Just to clarify, you can make all the questions. I just don't want you to think that we're
I understand you
ignoring
have
it.
no
Yeah.
intentions of replying to me. Is that correct? Like, you will not answer any of my questions, right?
We can definitely contact you afterwards and get, get back to you with your questions. We can all do that on our own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will just speak out loud my questions, and I guess I'll just find an answer. Is there a punch list for this high school? Has it been monetized? Do we know how much the punch list is worth? And if so, who did that? Who created the number for that punch list? How much do we have in retainage? How much are we holding back from Gilbane? Is it enough to cover the punch list? There were no bills on this particular invoice lined up for Gilbane for this meeting, but for the last few, we knew we had problems here at the high school, and yet we continued to cut checks for them. And also, has the city of East Providence inspected this high school for electrical, mechanical, and building? Because I can't seem to find that answer anywhere. So I guess the search continues on that as well. So thank you. I'll send an email and hopefully someone will answer my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Sarah Hamill, please.
Hello. I just wanted to very briefly introduce myself and the center I represent, the Orchid Montessori Center for Inclusive Education. We have opened up on 877 Broadway currently. We offer outpatient therapeutic services, speech, OT, AAC evals. And just to give some context, the reason I'm introducing myself is just so you guys know that we're there as a potential community partner and a resource. We also do educational advocacy. Over the years, we've actually worked with several families from East Providence. We do play-based therapy groups. We're hoping to expand our current offerings into full and half-day programming, which would be fully inclusive and really uniquely, intensively therapeutic program. I'm unaware of any program like it in the state. The biggest difference really is that we have a teacher and a therapist present the entire day rather than students getting pull-out services. We would be able to have a speech therapist there the length of the school day. We are able to move forward. Our last kind of hurdle is going through a zoning board meeting, which is on April 5th. If anyone would like to come support an inclusive center for education, that would be a great time and place to do it. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next item, please.
Next item is PTO, PTA, EPLAC reports.
Good evening. Mary Nascimento, co-chair of EPLAC. I just wanted to let everyone know that we're doing a workshop on March 29th at Martin Middle School Library at 6 p.m. It's called Pre-K to Kindergarten. It was actually the workshop we were supposed to have last month, but someone was out sick, so we didn't have it. And I'm going to just read off what we did last month. We all know that change is hard for all of us, so transition time for students can often seem impossible. Let us break it down for you so you can help break it down for them. Parents of students all ages are welcome to attend this. Come to gain an understanding on the timelines, establish, and to ensure things that are consistent and connected. So that's the 29th at 6 p.m. We're coming up on our recognition, and I'm sure everyone has seen these, the recognition nomination forms. The deadline for all nominations on March 30th. So if you know anybody, please email us at eplac@epschoolsri.com. Any questions? Good. Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item is the superintendent's report. Dr. Farand.
Good evening. I'd like to just start by recognizing our retirees this month. We have quite a few people with a lot of experience in the district, and we thank them for their service to the students and families of East Providence. Karen Underwood, Administrative Assistant in HR with 26.5 years. Philomena Cunha, Administrative Assistant to the Principal at Martin, 22.5 years. Marianne Saunders, Administrative Assistant Guidance at the high school, 25.5 years. Wayne Branch, English Teacher, High School, 24 years. Constance Rogers, Grade 5 at Francis, 38 years. And Lloyd Ann Letty, Principal at Kent Heights, with 35 years. So we thank them for their dedicated service and wish them a happy retirement. Facilities update. Did you have any comments on that?
Any comments regarding the retirements?
So some facilities updates. Right now, we are currently working on the plans for creating and building temporary pre-K classrooms at Oldham in order to relocate the preschool, the Martin preschool, over to Oldham for the fall. So our maintenance and facilities department is working on that. We just, when you came in, you might have seen, we installed the net poles over at the baseball field because we were having issues with soccer balls going over the fence. So we have 30-foot nets that have, the poles have been installed and the nets should be coming in shortly. So that will prevent the balls from leaving the field, hopefully. The old culinary kitchen at the administration building has been converted to our new Townie Pride pantry. So we will have our grand opening on Thursday, April 6th at 10:30. And we are partnering with Stop and Shop, and We Share Hope to open a food pantry for the district. Stop and Shop has funded us $15,000 for the year, and We Share Hope has gotten a grant for $10,000. So we are really excited. Our plans right now are to deliver bags of food to the schools for families that need them, have signed up for them, and then we're hoping to open the pantry one day a week for families that need it to come in and get what they need. So it's a great opportunity for the district and for us to be able to support our families. So we are very grateful for that and very excited. So I know the school committee received their invitation today, but if you'd like to attend, please let us know. We just received a resolution from the city today accepting the old Oldham building. We have cleaned out the building, and our plan is to hand it over to the city April 3rd. So I will notify them that it'll be ready for them to take over at that point. And then the last one, we had a bid clarification meeting for the multi-year HVAC maintenance contract for the high school. That was held, this is a little older because our meeting was last week, but that was held early March. The bids were due the 16th, and you should have the awarding of the bid in your packet for tonight. I believe we approved it in the consent agenda. That's what I have for facilities.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Cindy, is there any way that Craig could set, I don't know if it's done yet, the contract for the Riverside windows? We approved it.
Last month, right?
Last
I believe.
month, yeah.
Yep.
The
You
RFP
want, you want a copy of that tomorrow?
Yes, if we could.
Okay.
send it.
Craig, you heard that?
Yes, so that contract has not been signed yet. We're still going back and forth on it, but as soon as it's ready, you'll have a copy. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
As far as financial updates, Craig tells me we are in good shape. I ask him that regularly. The only thing I want to point out to you is you'll notice on the 5300 series, 53, 202, 203, 205, which is contract services, speech therapist, occupational therapist, psychologist, you'll notice that we are high in those areas right now. The reason for that is that we've had to turn to contract services. Our students are getting the services that they need, but we've had to turn to agencies and use contractors. We've had difficulty filling school psychologist positions. We've had to use some speech therapists. We've had, and I've said this multiple times, we've had a large increase in numbers of students in special education coming into the district, and so we've seen that increase, and we'll actually be able to shift some of the money because while we are short psychologists on the salary side, that money will shift into the contract side. But you will notice that those numbers are a little higher than they should be. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
We have Karen Rebello will be coming up to speak about the pre-K ECRA's accountability ratings.
Good evening, school committee, Dr. Ferran, Dr. Bowler. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you with an update of school accountability for preschool. I was very impressed by Ms. Riley's accountability presentation to you guys, and I just thought it was an appropriate time to really talk about the fact that the preschool itself, the pre-K, and ELC also have an accountability standard, which is a STAR program, and currently we rate a 5. We're very proud of that. And we also go through a lot of CEC monitoring as well. So I thought we don't often talk about what we have to do in the early learning program to become high quality, but it's important for us to know that we are a very high quality program. And I think it's appropriate to share some of the things that we have to do in order for us to be that. We have some very highly skilled teachers in our Early Learning Center, our Early Learning Program, as we are going to be referring to it from now on. And I think it's important to know exactly what they have to go through in order to become that. So, Alfred, next slide, please. So the demographics for the new program, Early Learning Program. So we have between 230 and 275 students between the two programs. Next year to all be in the same building. 160 of them are state pre-K kids, and between 125 to 170 early learning center children and buddies come in on a rolling enrollment throughout the school year. So there gets to be a high number of students in the program throughout the year. For the administration staff, we have 2 secretaries currently, will be 1 next year, currently 2 nurses, 1 for next year, 16 teachers, which will remain the same. We have support staff, which is our OTs, our speech therapists, our physical therapists. There's 9 of those in the building. On and off throughout the week, there are special subjects teachers, library, art. We do not have phys ed, we have library, art, and music, and there's 9 of those that come in and out throughout the week. And then we have 22 teacher assistants, paraprofessionals in our program. So we have quite a few staff as well in the building. Next slide. This is the star rating that we are held accountable to. So this is the Bright Stars rating. As you can see, we are not only overseen by the Department of Ed, we are also overseen by the DCYF licensing regulations and also the Department of Human Services. I think we often get lost in the fact that, you know, we are just under the one entity. So this makes the rigor for our teachers and our students a little bit more. They're being seen through quite a few lenses. So as you can see, your star rating is based from 1 to 5. And on the side, you will see basically which each of those star ratings mean. I do have a packet for you, actually, that I will give you at the end, that you will have some of these photographs in, because I think they're very telling for you in the end. But as you can see, we have to go, so a basic daycare center in-home program can start, they can meet minimum standards for the DCYF regulations and be a program that it's rated out of 1. We, as a public school, have to rate in the 5 category, and you can very clearly see all the steps that we have to go to climb to that level. The next thing, because we are state funded, we also have to receive CECE approval through the state, so it's not enough for us to get a 5 Bright Star. We also got to go to that next level and meet all of the monitoring regulations. So unlike our other schools, we have constant evaluations from these different entities coming in and out. So our teachers are often being observed by outside people, not only by myself, but by outside individuals to maintain the scores that they have to do. So that slide, we will come back to that at the end because we're going to go through some other things that they are required to do. Next slide, Alfred. This is a copy of our current data. So our 3-year-old program is in the green, and our 4-year-old program is in the blue. So this is our mid-year data. This is where we stand currently. The blue bands are where you want to see most of our children. Thankfully, that's where you see most of our children. So we have a whole nother sort of checkpoint area, as they're called for us, for our students who we are preparing for kindergarten to move into that blue band. You can also see there are some kids that expand out of that blue band, and those children are actually meeting some of the case standard skills. So this is just a picture of sort of the things that we are looking at. The state has currently, after COVID, has cut it down. You can see that our standards range from social emotional through all of the academic corridors. So you have the math, the social studies, all of that. But social emotional, realistically, is the sort of heart of the early learning program. Next slide. This is a score overview for a teacher. This is the Eckers evaluation, so it's the early childhood environmental rating scale. So you will see that these teachers are not only, what's the word? Totally evaluated on their teaching style, but also at the environment that we support them in. So this is why it's very important as we build our new one. I know I drive Sandy crazy about this at building committee, but that it's very important that we meet all of the standards of the Department of Human Service regs. So space and furnishings, personal care routines, program structure, all of these things are hugely, like they're looked at kind of through a magnifying glass. Enough tables, enough space in between them, like everything, quiet centers versus loud centers, buffers in between. So it's a really big thing that's looked at yearly, and it is what our funding is based on. So this is a teacher in her classroom. These are the scores that she rated. As you can see, a 7 is the highest you can get. Personal care routines are things like hand washing, putting your coat on, things like that. I know you'll look at that, especially with COVID, and think, oh my goodness, they're not really good at hand washing. They are really good at hand washing. It's all they do is wash their hands. But they also touch the wall right after they wash their hands, and that's not okay, even though they're 4. So we end up getting a little slap on the wrist on that. But if you really look at the the higher numbers, you see that all of those things are about learning. So all of the high scores for this teacher really fall in the range of interaction, learning activities, language, and literacy. That is key for high-quality programming. Okay, so space and furnishings, like I said, that could be anything on a specific day. You're just not sure. It could be that we didn't have a bollard out in the parking lot, because that all comes as part of what we do. So it's hard to keep all of those ratings up to scale. Next slide. If you don't have an Eckers evaluation, because Eckers evaluations come every 3 years, you get what they call a class evaluation. So that's why I'm saying it is a constant review of skills, not only for the students, but for the teachers. And the expectations are the same, that teachers get no less than a 5. The highest they can get is a 7. And I have to tell you that the 7s are so like a perfect everything. We've had teachers 6.8 that I'm like stunned, because it's rated on how the children act as well. So you have these 4-year-olds that are doing things that are proving that this teacher has taught them enough to earn a rating of a 6.8 in an area. So I think it's important that we really realize how in-depth and how much is expected of the teachers in this program, because it's not just about academics. It's about the whole child. They're looking at the social emotional. They're looking at what's around them, how the environment is being, worked through. So I bring both of these things up because, like I said, not only do they have to keep the kids' scores up and get them moving across, they also are constantly under, evaluation for how their skills are. With that being said, they also are required to do PD 20 hours. Now all teachers are, I swear they got this from pre-K because it's such a good thing. All teachers are required to do 20 hours of PD every year now. And they have been doing that for the last 7 years since we started the program. So it's always been paid by the district, but it's been on top of whatever the district required as well. So, it's a lot of extra work that they have to do. Next slide. So this is the CECE monitoring. This is basically just a kind of a rundown of everything that you just saw. All the things in like the packets for the Bright Stars. And the state comes in and also does a monitoring of the office and all of the deliverables, which are things like fire things are up to code. Even though we're public school, they just don't assume. We know that in the public schools, our fire things are up. They require us to upload those every single time they expire. So that is part of the daily activity of the school, like the early childhood program, not just from the district itself. They don't care if you have it there. It has to be in your deliverables as well. So they have all these things that you have to update each year and upload into a state system as well. So it's a constant oversight of what is going on in your program. Next slide. And I bring you back to the overall accountability system. So I thought it was important, like I said, the stars are very different for us, and they come from a very different place. They are not just about academics for the kids in the early childhood program. It really is about the whole child wraparound services, us making sure that we have social emotional programs involved, like we have the family navigator in the schools. We have different things now that we are aligning from the beginning of the year with social emotional. We work directly with a psychologist from Bradley Hospital that comes in every other week to meet with us on families. So the state is on the flip side really trying to support the foundation. And I think the important thing is understanding that this is the foundation as we make our vision to a graduate, as the superintendent has really pushed for. Like, this is a huge piece of the starting stages of the student that we are sort of bringing through the ranks of the school department. So 7 years in, it's been an amazing ride, but I think it's often not talked about as far as what is actually happening and how we as an early childhood community really want to try to come together and align with our kindergarten, our first grade, things like that. And I talk to Dr. Friend about this often, and I think it's something that we really look forward to doing. So I do have a packet. You guys are going to have homework because that's just what you have to do. And the homework is going to be that I'm giving you some of the documents that we have to fill out, so you have to read them. Because if I have to fill them out, you have to read them. So I have a nice packet for you. Right-hand side you've already seen. Left-hand side is your homework. And then I will come back a public comment next week and ask questions. So don't try to not read it. But do you want to just grab those folders? Do you guys have any questions, thoughts? Please, I have a bad knee. That one's mine. Yeah.
I love how it's in a folder and it's legitimate homework.
Thank you.
Severe.
Karen, I just want to say, back in the early 2010s, I was involved in the childcare world when Bright Stars first came around. This is extremely challenging feats to accomplish. So I just want to say congratulations and thank you for being a part of this district, because it doesn't seem like much, but it is very challenging to achieve and maintain a 5-star Bright Stars rating and hold that. So just thank you.
Thank you. And, again, not me. It really is the teachers and the fact that they stay. It is amazing. They are truly committed. Dr. Bowler did a really good job placing them back in the day, and we've not lost many, maybe a couple. So like I said, it's a lot more work for them, but they are truly dedicated. So, it's like special education teachers. Once you get into it, you can't get out. So it's a really nice, it's a great program, but it is important to understand that it's a lot. It's a lot. So.
Just a question, how many little guys do we have in the whole program?
So it's 160 in the state pre-K, and then we fluctuate in the ELC program. Leslie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we go between about 125, and I don't know if that includes buddies, to 150. So with the enrollment, rolling enrollment, 3-year-olds can turn 3 all through the year. So they're coming, like, I got like 5 new emails today on kids being entered into the program. So, you know, as we get some of these kids with needs, we're entering them in. So, you know, at one point by the end of the school year, we could have up to, 160 over at, maybe 150 at Oldham with the ELC as well.
Karen, are we doing good with the little guys that are trying to get into the program and stuff like that?
So we will be in 2 years because, you know, they did make the plan to add additional classrooms. The state does still have to approve whether or not we can get additional classrooms. So just because we build them doesn't mean that we can actually get them. I think we would have to probably say we were going to go sort of universal as a city and take them on. And then I think, Sandy, you can correct me, I think it's like 70% we would have to house something, but we have 3 other programs, 3 other classrooms that are in other programs currently. So we would really only have to, I think in the city we have 218 seats currently. I think there's about 350, 375 kindergarten. So you're looking at about another 160 seats we would need. We only have room for 2 to 3 classrooms in the new program, so it's about 60. But I think universal doesn't mean you have to fit every single person.
But it's just a great program,
So, yeah, and our wait lists, you know, yeah.
Get in there, you know, that was a big hope that we had Karen back in the day, you know, with the career center, that I remember that as plain as day when we were gonna put, you know, 8 classes, 10 classes there when this was built, and that was gonna be our pre-K to house.
Yeah.
So hopefully we never lose track on trying to get, all the, because it's just a great program. It's talked around throughout the state, the success we have, so it's just, sometimes it's frustrating, we can't give it to every little guy.
Right. And again, when we talk universal too, it doesn't have to be in district. Like I just came from our informational meeting, and so I represent the 2 other agencies while I'm there just speaking about the places, because you can apply anywhere you want. You don't have to apply to East Providence. You can apply to Rumford. You can apply to Turner Avenue. And it just depends on like maybe what you might have had a child in Head Start, you want to stay with Turner Avenue. Our other initiative that we're doing right now is working with community programs. So if we don't have the space in-house, because it's a space issue, even if we build this place, we have 3 more classrooms, that's all we have. Other places, state pre-K is state pre-K. So as long as we're getting our kids into the schools, if we work with a community partner, if they have space to do it, it's the same kind of thing. The funding's there no matter what. And so really kind of trying to connect, we're really trying to connect so that they transition back and all of our key teachers know where they're coming from. So working with those community programs is going to be important too. So yeah, you're welcome. Anything else?
When does the lottery start?
So the lottery will open, so the application process, I think, will probably be beginning of April. It was typically May, and then last year they threw us all off and they opened it in April. They don't say, they just open it. But it looked like last year, I think it was the 1st or 2nd week of April. And I think it will be again because we didn't increase numbers, but there's still that many numbers out there that they got to get filled. And then they select around July 5th-ish, registration starts. Somewhere around there, July 8th, we notify. So.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is the Director of Teaching and Learning report by Lindsay Riley.
Good evening. I don't have a presentation for you, but just some talking points. So beginning in August and sort of periodically through the school year, I've given you some updates on our selection of high-quality curriculum materials for core instruction. We have an upcoming deadline in Rhode Island of June of 2023 to have selected and adopted high-quality ELA and math curricula. Our last step toward that goal was the selection of the East Providence High School math curriculum, which did include the Algebra 1 curriculum for our 8th graders. So I'm just going to recap sort of what that process entailed and bring forward to you the decision that the committee would like to recommend for next steps. So as a district, we engaged in a 5-part process to select high school math materials. The East Providence High School math team analyzed district-wide data in mathematics, reviewed our instructional vision, and set the following priorities for a successful adoption and launch of materials in alignment to the work previously conducted by the middle school math team. Those included the ability to differentiate the materials easily, the assessment use and the connection of the assessment to core material, the usability of the material and the responsiveness from the vendor, and student engagement. The team reviewed the RIDE-approved high school math materials outlined against the priorities that they set, and they selected 3 resources to pilot in Q2 of this school year that were most closely aligned to the priorities that were determined. Those were Carnegie, Illustrative, and Reveal. 1 to 2 teachers utilized each product in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry courses. In addition, middle school teachers who teach Algebra 1 were part of the pilot. At the conclusion of the quarter-long pilot, the secondary math teachers, along with their MLL and special education colleagues at East Providence High School and the middle schools, participated in a facilitated session on March 1st to collaboratively select a core curriculum. Here at this full-day session, staff and student survey data was thoroughly analyzed to assess programs based on the criteria that I explained, and unanimously, the team selected Reveal Math, and would like to put that forward as their recommendation for adoption for the beginning fall of 2023. That's all I have today. If you have any questions for me about the process.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? I am happy to hear that the middle schools were involved with this, because they have to transition to high school at some point, right? So it's good so that the teachers kind of know like what they kind of have to prepare the students for, whether it's the material or how the material is presented to them. So that's encouraging to hear how many people were involved in that. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item is the Policy Committee report by Jessica Beauchesne.
Well, I'm just going to pass this over to Jenny because this is her product right here. I'm not going to try to take credit for it, even though I agree with it. So you got this in your packet on Friday. This is the school committee bylaws. If you took a look at it, it had not been updated since 2013. And again, if you have any comments or questions, or if Jenny wants to, if you want to ask her any questions.
Yes, please feel free to contact myself or Jessica, or actually it can only be one of us at a time. So one of us, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or if you kind of want to know what went into something, we'd definitely be happy to go into that. But I'd love to hear back from anyone before the next read. But yeah, a lot of it was just updating it, making sure that things were up to date. And we had also looked at other cities and towns as well in Rhode Island to kind of see where they were moving towards. Our attorney was also consulted in making sure that those changes in other cities and towns were also something that we could apply to our own bylaws as well. So. Any questions or comments on that for tonight?
I have a question. Just generally in regards to the location or existence of the school committee policy book. Is that something that's in print? Is that something I can get my hands on? Because as a new member, it says,
Yes.
okay. And who would be the person to have that?
Sharon.
Okay.
The keeper of records.
Yeah, you can go to her office and just sit and read it.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Copy
sat
the
and read
crap out
for
of it.
hours on the policies posted on the website.
Yeah.
Just, it's easier for my eyes. And
Her policies, her book will have the old ones too, so you can look back and see how far you've come, or how far
Okay.
you want to go back, so.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you to Jenny, because I had reached out to you about a few things that I'd like to see updated in the bylaws, and just through reading through this first read, I can already see that pretty much all of those things are already in here, so I appreciate that.
Ryan, you didn't notice it says place of meeting. It just says East Providence. Just, first page, place of meeting. Just says will be held in an East Providence school.
Fantastic. So
I
it
know.
could be held
Thought
at
you'd like
other locations other than this high school.
Hey, could be.
Well, the idea to that, of course, is you never know what this auditorium needs to be used for, because obviously so many events are being held, but that also gives us the flexibility to have it anywhere else, especially for the budget meetings, for example, that we're thinking, we've discussed already. There are other more conducive spaces for meetings or presentations or visitors that we may have. So I definitely think, that's appropriately suggested.
I like it.
I was curious also, is there language in here or where that language would be in terms of the video recording? Is the video recording of these meetings, is that mandatory to be live recording, or could they be recorded and then posted at a later time? And if so, what's the duration of that time?
Doesn't need to be live. I'd have to get back to you on if there's a timeline on when that has to be posted. If posted. I know with COVID, there had been some changes.
Have to be posted anymore?
I don't think so from the last time I checked with our attorney, but I'll follow up. Because I think that the last time I had checked, they had extended it to April, I think, of this year. But again, I'd have to check to see what
Extended to April, the need for these meetings to be
posted online, yeah.
Oh.
That was made because of the pandemic. They had made that a requirement. I believe they extended that to some point this year, but I'll get back to you on that.
I think the minutes have to be posted. I don't believe the meetings have to be posted anymore.
Yeah.
And it definitely does not have to be live.
Yeah, no, that's optional. And it's not a requirement in our bylaws either, so that's something we can add too if you, we can clarify that, yeah. I'll see what the attorney says and then I can get back to you on language. Any other questions or comments? Oh, there is actually one thing I did want to make a comment on. There are other school committees that have a lot more language to include responsibilities and objectives for not just the members, but also the elected positions, whether it's chair, vice chair, and clerk. But there's also, it includes a lot of the language from the statute, and in part it may be redundant to include the same thing that the state says, but I think that could be potentially something that we could consider, if not for this read, but maybe in the future, because this is a lot of changes as it is for this first read. That could be potentially something that we could also look into, because that I think would help a lot of other future newly elected school committee members as well, because it can be all concise in one document. Even if it is redundant with the state, it's just a lot easier, I think, to kind of give to a new member, and it would already be all there instead of having to just read the statute. Having it in a lot more simpler language in our bylaws I think could be a lot more helpful than just being like, just read title, just read the title. So that's another idea too. But I didn't propose that to this read because that would have been a lot more extensive. It would have made it a lot more lengthier. But that is an idea I wanted to propose to everyone in case that's of interest in us doing. That is an option.
Yeah, I'd be supportive of that.
Okay. I could definitely have that prepared then. Any other questions or comments regarding this item? Alrighty. The next item we have is health and the wellness report. I apologize. You had to have your own section for that, not under us, but.
Yeah, so thank you. As we spoke last meeting, I have taken on the chair of the Health and Wellness Committee. Since then, we have met a second time. Dr. Bowler is instrumental in carrying us along and showing me the way. So essentially, the past 12 weeks or so, Dr. Ferrand has allowed me to tour with her through all of our schools now in our district, meeting the majority of our principals, a lot of our teachers, a lot of our staff, seeing our schools in action. And it has been really refreshing and encouraging to see what's going on inside of our buildings and our classrooms. And I think there's a lot that's happening in each school that could have impact at other schools as well. So a part of some of our goals for the Health and Wellness Committee, our first goal is looking through our current policies in place and also building our committee out. So we're interested in trying to have members of this committee not only just be a few folks from, say, the high school, but have representation from elementary schools, from our principals, from our teaching corps, and also working towards, moving away from just nutrition, which is important, not taking away, but also adding a lot similar to what Karen was talking about in terms of creating policy that's going to impact the whole child, right? So really putting a lot of the social, emotional, and wellness into our schools and just into our attention. So I'm really excited and happy to to just kind of report back that we are approaching our third meeting in the past 7 or 8 weeks for a committee that at minimum was meeting 45 minutes 4 times a year. So there's a really engaged group of folks, and we're continuing to grow the committee, as I said. We're currently also working on a survey, which we will be putting out hopefully by in the next couple of months before school ends, to start getting feedback from the folks in our schools about how we're utilizing health and wellness policy, and what changes folks might want to see or have made. So that's where we are so far. Any questions?
Thanks for the update. No, I look forward to seeing you guys in action.
Yeah.
And hearing the progress that you guys make from you. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next item, please.
Next item is the building committee report.
Oh, would you like to go, Dr. Friend, first?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest milestones right now is for the Martin Middle School project. We put out an RFP for the construction manager at risk. We received those proposals back. We're in the process right now of reviewing those, and we will be doing interviews of the people that have put in a proposal on March 28th. And then we will be making a recommendation to the building committee on April 3rd and the school committee on April 11th for a construction manager and a commissioning agent. So I think we've seen some preliminary plans of Martin at the last building committee meeting, looked at some of the materials for the outside of the building. We have a sketch of the Waddington classroom, and that project will be ramping up soon after we get the construction manager for Martin.
just in my report.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to add except the contracts that we have up for a vote later on this agenda, but yeah, that covers all the major
I do just want to say that building committee meetings do happen the night before, and they are open to the public. So if anybody has an interest in coming, you're welcome to sit in the room. It's no one's ever there, but anyone is welcome to sit and listen. They are posted on, I'm assuming on our everything else.
Secretary of State's website.
But they are always the Monday prior to the school committee meeting at Martin Middle School in the library.
5:30 for the high school building committee, and then typically 6 or 6:30 depending. But they'll, for the Martin Waddington committee. It's 2 different committees.
Any other comments or questions regarding that? All righty, next item, please.
Next item is discussion items. Update on district's recruitment strategies.
Yes, so I'm happy to say that we actually posted our first round of positions to the certified educators for next school year. So we had, I believe, 32 positions that we posted. Though that first round has closed, principals are starting interviews tomorrow, I believe. The first round of interviews for those positions that people have applied for will be completed by Wednesday of next week, and then we'll be ready to post the next round of positions that people have vacated in the first round. So we probably will have to go through multiple rounds. It gets smaller as you get towards the later rounds, but we are going to be at the Department of Ed is holding a job fair on the 7th and 8th of May, I believe. So we have a space at that job fair. We'll be in attendance there recruiting for the open positions we have. And by then, I'm hoping to have a pretty good handle on what we need. So we know some that weren't taken and no one applied for. Those will be posted soon after the second round is completed. So we're probably a couple of months ahead of where we've been in the past, and for the reason that we know that we have some positions that are hard to fill. So, we want to get out early. We're looking at our student teachers. We have quite a few student teachers in the building, so we'll be looking at them to fill some of our vacant positions and hopefully be able to offer them positions early before they look outside of East Providence.
Any other questions, comments? I know that's one of our big concerns with a lot of our teachers retiring. Of course, they deserve it. But now the big project is obviously filling up those classrooms, and of course it's super competitive, as we all know. Like it's a small pool as it is. And we're not the only district that's looking for them, so I'm happy to hear that there's a lot of initiative to try and get them as, early from graduation as possible, or while they're students, and also making sure that we really get our name out there for all to know us really around the area and beyond that too. Yeah.
Yeah, Mrs. Riley and I attended a session at the Annenberg Institute at Brown, and they gave some data for each of the districts, and we actually had a 98% teacher retention rate last year, which is really great. I mean, this year, we're losing quite a few to retirement, but we're confident that we'll be able to fill those positions. We are an attractive district to a lot lot of people, so we will be out.
That's exciting.
Getting those people into our classrooms.
I think when you have retirements at 38 years, that shows that retention is just unbelievable. And for the last couple of months, that's all you've heard is over 20 years in the school district, which is unheard of sometimes. So.
And that's something that when people go out for interviews, that they'll ask, why is this position open? And of course, you never want to hear, they stayed here a year and left. Yeah. But if you tell them, they retired after 20, 30, 35 years, that's attractive, I think, to anyone, looking into working for our school district, which is great.
We in a few of our schools, notably complimenting some of our principals and admin. They were really reluctant to take any credit because of the fact that they had such a high retention rate of teachers who were really the core basis of those schools, which was really great to hear. And also going back to Dr. Fran's comment about recruiting through student teachers. I believe it was the 101st day of school. We were touring an elementary school, and there were 2 student teachers who were dressed up as Dalmatians. Now it's kind of silly to think about. However, in my mind, I thought about these are 2 student teachers who are buying into the culture that the school was building. So that was, it was good to see that there was engaged student teachers in classrooms, not just college kids or so to say. So. Yeah, that seems like we're on the right track with that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next item.
Next is scheduling of bi-monthly school committee meetings, discussion item.
So I wanted to hear from the school committee on adding a second meeting to our usual programming, which is just one, in particularly for those months that we won't have like budgeting, for example, scheduled. Like for the budgeting, I think we'll be anticipating more than definitely one workshop. So I think having a meeting, an additional school committee meeting possibly would not be necessary at that point because we're covering so much material as it is with just the budget workshops. But I think in making sure that we can really focus and give our attention to all of the initiatives that are being worked on in the district, and now that we're really starting our second big building project now with the middle school and elementary schools, I think it'd be great to have 2 meetings to really split that time up and dedicate our time to whatever projects that may be worked on at that point, or the initiatives as well. We have so many initiatives, and I think that being able to split that time up between 2 meetings would definitely allow some constructive discussions and the ability for us to really get to know what's happening in our district. There's so much hard work going in from everyone in administration, teachers, paraprofessionals, and I think they're due that, at least that respect and understanding what that hard work is, and also having a better understanding of how much progress we're also making and what the needs may be for us to be able to even approach a budget season even with a better understanding than before. I think it doesn't hurt us to be able to learn more while we're here. So that's just what I had in mind. I wanted to hear your comments on how we could if you are interested in that, or how we could determine even when to have a second meeting potentially, if it's not every single month. So I'll leave it up to you guys.
I mean, yeah, I definitely am in agreement with you about having 2 meetings a month. I think, especially for when we have certain meetings where we end up being here until close to 11 o'clock at night, I mean, that just leads to burnout and reduced community engagement because less people are going to be likely to watch a meeting if it just goes on forever. So I think there's a lot of benefits that come with having 2 meetings a month. So I guess the one thing that I would have questions about is how we would plan on structuring the agendas with 2 monthly meetings.
So an idea is to potentially split up for example, the school liaisons, for example, so they wouldn't have to come in all at one time. Obviously next month is a different situation because it's spring break. So, but for any other, meetings, I think to have them split up, for example, would potentially be a way to kind of evenly split it up as much as possible. The construction projects could also be split up as well, I think, between both, depending on what needs priority. That one will obviously get addressed earlier in the month. And then whatever, gets to us after, the building committee, we can get to that at the end of the month. so that way it doesn't all accumulate. I think because it's a new project, the high school's closing out, but the new project, I think, will require a lot more of our time and attention, I think. So that can be split up, I think, in between two. And then any policy items, we can also split that up as well. That also gives us the opportunity to kind of also be able to get through policies, I think, a lot more faster as well. So those are just things I think that could potentially be something we work on, but it really is up to you guys. And it would also be up to Dr. Fran on what she thinks we can prioritize earlier in the month, and then what we can move to later in the month as well. So that would actually be something that we would have to work closely with her to make sure that it's evenly balanced out and timed correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, the benefits when you, like Mr. Brando was saying about the fatigue that comes with, having extremely long meetings that go into later into the night. I could also, on the other side, I could also see the benefits of potentially increase of some community engagement by having smaller agendas, so that therefore, if they're isolated topics, folks can pick out, a meeting they may want to attend and know that it's not going to be a 3 to 4 hour meeting before they're able to get to what they are there for. But then on the other side, there is the opportunity to really create some compression for folks as months go on, and it could be challenging to have, for scheduling, right? Especially with a lot of the projects that are happening, a lot of folks are going to building committee meetings and other meetings. So I'm open to further discussion on it and thought, to make sure it's a mindful decision in respect of really folks' time, and energy levels.
Well, that was one of my concerns too, and I did check with our attorney to see is there an updated list that we need to give to the Secretary of State? Because at the beginning of the year, we always have to approve, all those, dates, and we wouldn't have to do that if we wanted to have a second meeting in a month. So that would be that can be up to our discretion. Something that if anyone brings, thinks that there are, it's a busy month, for example, like the beginning of a school year, maybe that one requires 2 meetings if it's, if there are lots of items that definitely need to have our attention. But we wouldn't have to take a vote to make sure that it for sure is biweekly. It can definitely be up to our discretion. So if it's May and the budget seasons are there, we wouldn't be we don't have to have a second one. Or if it's the summer vacation and a lot of members are away, for example, we wouldn't have to have a second meeting for that month as well. So I think that's it's up to our discretion, and so if anyone wants to discuss that further, we can definitely look into having a second one scheduled. The only thing that would be different is that it's just not on that list that we already approved. We would just have to go about it the same way that we go about these current meetings, which is just making sure that we post notice and go about scheduling and publishing our agenda like how we usually do. So it would just land on us.
Would there still be any way though, because this would be discretionary, if we know that there's going to be a month where we have a lot on our plate and we decide to have 2 meetings, could we kind of give advance notice, maybe at least at that first meeting, to make sure that people know about the second one in advance?
Definitely. I think, that can be even an item for discussion, I think, is, kind of get an understanding of if we may need a second meeting that month. And I can definitely follow up with Dr. Ferrand on where she sees the month going, because I think you definitely have a better read on what's occurring that month. And then if I can let you know before we have that initial meeting for our first Tuesday of the month, and then we can kind of have a better read whether we think we may need to prepare our agenda for that first meeting accordingly or not. So that's just a thought though. But we can definitely have that as another item on the agenda, just kind of like where do you guys think we're at?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, another idea also is we could, taking into consideration the administration that also comes into our meetings, for those months that if we choose to have 2 meetings, we don't need to have the entire administration present. It can just be whoever has to answer any of the particular items on it. I mean, fine if the finance report's on it, or if there's something on special education, then obviously we would have the correct administrators present. Or if we have the facilities update on that agenda, we would have our administrator present for that. So we wouldn't need to have that on the agenda twice, for example. And that way we would avoid having the administrator here present for both. So to take into consideration their time as well. That's another idea too.
Yeah, I think another good idea too would be maybe seeing if we can get everyone to agree, not saying tonight, but at some point on like a second meeting date that we could just go by going forward. So that way, instead of each time we have to have a second meeting, we have to, check with everybody. It could kind of just be okay, the second meeting would be the 4th Tuesday, the 4th Tuesday of each month.
Yeah.
So that way, at least whenever we want to have that meeting, we don't always have to reach out to everybody to plan for what dates they have available. We could just say we're having a second meeting, and it could just be, they know right away it's the 4th Tuesday of each month.
Yeah, I know there are some districts that do it like that. I also noticed that like Barrington has a full schedule of their meetings, Yeah,
they do theirs differently.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I'll send it to you guys if you guys want to take a look at it. So maybe that will be of help to kind of see what our options are. But again, it's up to the school committee. I leave that completely up to you guys. We can get creative with it, of course, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, of course. So, but any other comments or on that? Let me know if anything pops up regarding that. Next item, please.
Next item is action items. Number 1, we have consider and vote to approve EPSD State 2 resubmission AI3 amendment number 2.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All that say aye?
Aye.
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 And just so you know, the building committee did approve those first 2 items, 1 and 2.
Yes.
Number 2, consider and vote to approve East Providence School Department FEI AI3 amendment number 3.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 3, consider and vote to approve RIDE MOA for Menu for Success program.
Dr. Fernan, would you like to make a little comment on what that's about? I am really excited about this, which is why I think please.
So that is the food truck that I believe we talked about it at one of the other meetings. Yeah, so Menu for Success. So I think there's 10 districts that are getting food trucks with culinary programs. So, and it's in order that you sign and submit your MOA. So as soon as the school committee approves it, it's going right to RIDE, and they will be, they already had the RFP, it's already been awarded, so they will start production of that food truck, and it will be for our culinary program. And they actually designed the inside of the truck to meet their needs. So, and it is fully paid for by a grant from the Department of Education.
I make a motion.
I'll send it to them.
Oh, let's say aye.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited too for this.
I don't know. The second with that.
Oh, I don't know. We were all too
Everyone
giddy
did.
for this.
That's really exciting for those kids. Really, really exciting.
We must have, like, respectfully to the other school districts, but I think we have the best culinary program, like, by far.
Ready to rent that puppy out.
Next item, please.
Number 4, consider and vote to approve EPHS building committee representatives from both the school committee and city council.
So I'll speak on that. I'm respectfully requesting, on behalf of the building committee's recommendations, they have asked us to consider to appoint President Bob Rodericks to the both the high school and middle school building committee, and myself to just the high school building committee. The high school building committee does not currently have a school committee member on it, so for that reason, I'm requesting to be added on that so I can keep the rest of the committee up to date on what is happening with their meetings. And regarding the President Bob Rodericks' appointment, there needs to be a city council member on both building committees, and there was not at the point of the last meeting, so they have also recommended President Bob Rodericks as well to be appointed as a representative of the city council, so he can also keep the city council informed on the projects accordingly. Any questions regarding that before I ask for a motion? All right. I'll consider a vote to approve what I just spoke about regarding adding myself to the high school building committee and President Bob Rodericks to the high school building committee and the middle school building committee. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Thank you. All that say aye?
Aye.
And that's all of our action items. May I please have the next item?
The next item is announcements.
I know Mary left, but I know that they've already mentioned it, but this Saturday is, jump in the water down at Salty Brine Beach. Am I correct? Salty Brine Beach. It's the 25th for Special Olympics, so if you can go support the schools, I'm sure everyone would appreciate it if you could go down there. Thank you.
You know what time?
9, am I right? Anyone? Ben, if you're watching, can you text me?
I know that I have the flyer somewhere.
Oh, I have 11, so I'm not sure. I have 11 o'clock. So I may be wrong, but I have 11, so. And if you can't go in person and you'd like to donate, everyone has the fundraising page. I have it on mine. Ben Nascimento has it on his. It says 10 to 12. Oh, no. Never mind. I don't know. I don't know the time. Mine says 11, but Officer Tammy has a different time on hers, so I can't. Just look it up. It's everywhere. It's on everybody's.
Any other announcements? Max, would
yeah,
you like
so,
to make an
yes.
announcement?
So very briefly, I just wanted to say, because I'm very excited about this, I had designed a welcome brochure basically for our school committee meetings. So this meeting and going forwards, when the public comes to our meetings, right next to the agenda packets, there will be this welcome brochure, and it just has basic information for anyone who's new to our meetings. Not that we don't really get that many new attendees to our meetings, but for anyone who does, it basically just has who the school committee members are, our contact information, meaning email, how to address the committee, what we do, what executive session is, and a schedule of the 2023 regular monthly meetings. So really just basic info that anyone can just take home, put on their fridge, and have. It's things that I feel like a lot of people assume that everyone knows, but I mean, I know that these are a lot of questions that we tend to get, so I think it's good information to just have. And also with it, it has a copy of Title 16 regarding school committees and superintendents regarding general powers and duties. So I think these are just nice documents for people to be able to look over and educate themselves, assuming that they come to a school committee meeting and don't necessarily know these things already.
Yeah. No, thank you for preparing them, Max, because that's super convenient for someone to grab, especially if they haven't been here before. So
Max,
thank
do you mind passing that down so I can give to, for when Sharon returns?
Yeah, sure.
And thank you, yeah, thank you, Ben. It is 11 o'clock on Saturday.
All right. And that's all of our items. Next item, please, actually. Do you want to read it?
Next item is adjournment.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Aye.
All right, say aye. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.